This semester I am taking the subject distributed systems, CS 3006. Okay. So, the subject name is distributed systems and subject code is CS 3006, and as you know it is a 3 credit course and the books to be followed. As I have told, for every subject in computer science we have a large number of books available. Now, I think for the distributed system more than hundreds of books are available in the market, but out of them some of the are very traditional and old books and yet popular also throughout the world. These are the 3 books that become very much popular. The first one is the Distributed Systems Concepts and Design by George Coulouris. I think this is a around 30 years old book and every time the editions are being changed. And next is Advanced Concepts in OS. This is also a popular book by Singhal and Sivaratri, Mukesh Singhal and Sivaratri NG. And the third one is the Distributed Computing by Sunita Mahajan and Seema Shah. So, there are 3 standard books we are going to follow in this course. That is one thing, and if required some materials from the net. I will be telling the website name and some papers, conference and journal papers also we have to follow at the end. So, unlike microprocessor, so it is not a core subject, rather we need a sufficient background for studying this subject. The first subject, if you have not followed, you can go through the previous subjects like computer organizations and architecture. This is the basic subject is the prerequisite for this subject. And the second one is computer network. I think this is covered already, computer network not. So, if it is not covered, it will be covered and the few basic things of the computer networks are necessary. The basics of all these subjects. And the third one is algorithm analysis and design and data structures and algorithm. So, these 2 subjects are also equally important. And fourth is operating system, operating systems, or we can say system software. So, these subjects are prerequisites for these subjects, or we can say that the distributed system is floated on the top of these subjects. And as the course will be advancing or progressing, it will be clear how this course is related to these subjects, right. So, this is the these are 3 books we will be primarily follow, but some other books if it is necessary I will be telling in the class. So, then syllabus. So, syllabus details you will get in the net, it is there in the website, but I will just give some key points, what are the things we are going to cover in this subject. So, first of all introduction. So, introduction means what is a distributed system or definition of distributed system, right. Then second we will see characteristics and properties of distributed system, that is very important. What are the different characteristics and properties of distributed systems? Next, taxonomy. So, taxonomy means how the distributed systems are classified. What are the different example distributed systems are existing in the for common use or for scientific use. Then this is also equally important, design and goals. Okay. Then so, this is the overall points of the course. So, initially we have to define what is a distributed system and how it is different from computer network, because most often we confuse the difference between distributed system and computer network. So, the difference should be very clear. So, then second, the characteristics and properties. Okay. So, these characteristics and properties, you can say these are the assets of the distributed system by which the distributed system is becoming popular day by day. So, the properties and characteristics of the distributed systems are so what you call interesting that it is becoming very popular in the society. Then third is taxonomy. So, taxonomy means how the different distributed systems are classified. What are the different criteria or points, parameters we should choose so that the different distributed systems can be classified into various groups. That is also equally important. So, why it is important? Because if I go on listing the examples of distributed system, you will find more than hundreds of distributed systems are existing. Therefore, so the classification is also equally important. We have to classify them based upon their characteristics or based upon their some parameters. You have to choose some parameters by which you can classify the distributed systems into various groups or types or classes, whatever you tell, right. Then what is the design goal? Sorry, so this is the design goal. So, why the distributed system is necessary and what are the design challenges or goals we have to face for designing the distributed systems. I will list down all the design goals and how to accomplish those goals. Okay. Then the most important thing is inter-process communication, and we shall see whenever we go for characteristics or properties of distributed system, we shall see that one of the major challenge we shall face inter-process communication, and this inter-process communication, the processes which are defined in the operating system. So, you have studied the subject operating system, I think, in the last semester. So, there is a concept called task, process and a job. What are the difference between these three? Can I say that job is same as a program, or program can I say it is a process, or process is same as task? So, all these definitions should be very clear. But usually in the operating system, whatever we cover in the previous semester, they are meant for a single computer, PC, personal computer. And if we are to use the operating system for a network of computers, then we can go for NOS. So, NOS stands for Network Operating System. Similarly, if you want to use an operating system for a distributed system, the name which can say distributed operating system. And we shall see what is the difference between NOS and DOS. And do not confuse with DOS, because this DOS is also known as disk operating system, which is usually meant for the personal computer. So, here we are talking about the distributed operating system, which are usually used for the distributed system, right. So, the concepts whatever is covered, that is mainly pertaining to personal computer, a single workstation, PC workstation. So, then what is the process you have already defined whenever we discuss about the operating system for a single computer. Can I say running program is a process? A program in the a process is the, or a program in the state of running, I can say it is process. So, as long as the program is there in the disk, static storage, so it is program, and the moment it is loaded into the primary memory and execution is about to start, I can say it is a process. And whatever the accessories are required for execution of the process, that has to be maintained, like the stack, heap, the program counter, register status. So, all these things are prepared whenever process is to be executed. But you can also observe whenever one process output is needed by another process or will be useful as input to another process. So, for example, process P1 is here and process P2 is here, and output of process P1 is required by process P2, or output of P1 is the input to P2. And if both the processes are existing on the same personal computer, same memory, and they are all executed by the same processor. I think the problem is very simple. So, whenever process P1 wants to communicate with P2 by sending a message or by receiving a message, what is the meaning of communication? So, communication means one process gives a message to another process, and in turn the same process may expect a reply from the other process, that we call a request and a reply. This is the most basic form of communication. So, whenever process P1 puts a request message and a P2 receives it, and a P2 whenever it sends a reply message, P1 is supposed to receive it. Or I can say that P1 is client and P2 is the server. Am I clear? So, if P2 is to become a client, what will happen? So, P2 will send a message to P1 and P1 will receive that message and P1 will send a reply message, P2 will send a reply message to P1 that the message is accepted. It is okay. So, that time the P2 will be the client and P1 will be the server, and this communication will be going on to accomplish a task or to complete the execution of a program or to complete the execution of a job. So, this is called inter-process communication, in between. So, one process wants to communicate with another process by using only two messages, that is request and a reply message. Am I clear? So, if both the processes are existing on the same computer, a single operating system like Windows or Linux as a single user system is sufficient, and constraints are less, and overall things are simple. And why it is simple? Because you can observe whenever P1 sends a message to request message to P2, this request message we do not have to worry about the message format, because both are available, both the processes are available on the single PC. They are not being transported outside the PC, outside the computer. So, therefore, the protocols are very simple. The message passing protocols are very simple. Okay? And I can say that one simple communication methods you might have studied in operating system, the shared memory concept. P1 will just put the message into a memory location and P2 will read it. That is called shared memory communication. So, this shared memory communication, this is usually useful for the single computer or a multiple processors with a single computer. That is also possible. There will be a single central unit and multiple CPUs and multiple memories, right? Still it is a single system. We can't say it is a distributed system. So, a personal computer can have multiple processors, multiple memory modules to make it a parallel system. Personal computer is a single system, and whenever these resources are replicated, but control is within the one control unit, then we can say it is a parallel system. But think of a situation that we want to distribute the control. We want to replicate the control unit at several places without having any master control. So, then we can say it is a distributed system. So, whenever the resources are distributed and the distribution will be such that the user who are using the distributed system, they will feel as if it is a single PC. Am I clear? So, there will be the control unit, processors, memory, everything will be distributed, but user will never feel that it is a distributed system, right. So, this kind of transparency needs to be maintained in the distributed system. So, user can never feel that the multiple operating systems, multiple processors and multiple memory modules, they are all working under the applications. So, this is what we call the distributed system. I will define what is the distributed system. But before that it should be made clear that these interprocess communications are really challenging for distributed system. Why? If a distributed system components are available at various places. Now, this one particular process is running on this computer, for example, and another process P2 is running in another computer. So, here the shared memory computation model will not be sufficient. So, for that we have to depend upon another message passing paradigm, that is called MPI, message passing interface. Or in general I can say there are two types of communication mechanism. One is shared memory and another is MPI, message passing interface. So, this shared memory is useful for parallel system and message passing is used for distributed system. Okay. So, this parallel system, or we can say even single PC also, single user system, right. Or I can say that the entire computing systems are divided into three types. One is single user system, then we have parallel system, then we can have distributed system. I can broadly classify. So, under the single user of system, what are the different devices? Example devices, PC or workstations, laptops, mobile phones, etc. They are the single system. A single mobile phone is just like a PC, personal computer. Similarly, parallel systems can be divided into multiprocessor systems, multi-computer system, right. So, in a multiprocessor systems, what happens? So, a number of processors, they are connected by a network. Let us take a bus, or it can be a tree, or it can be a star, any network topology, right. So, these processors, so P1, P2, P3, these are the processors, or I can say P1, P2, P3 already you have used for processes. So, you can take it as PR1, processor 1, processor 2, processor 3, etc. up to PRN. Okay. So, now this topology, it can be bus, or it can be ring, or it can be star, a number of topologies that if I have not studied, we are going to study the different network topologies in computer network. Okay. So, now these processors, if they are interconnected using a network and with a number of memory modules, let us take M1, M2, M3. The bus is the example, you can take any topology, right. So, now this set of processors and set of memory modules, let us take MM, because the number of processors may not be equal to number of memory modules, right. So, now all these are connected to the single network and the entire thing will be under the control of one control unit. This is the architecture of the parallel system. There will be a single control unit and multiple processors. Sometimes these processors are known as processing elements. So, why call they are processing element? So, try to find the difference between processing element and a processor. If it is processor, that is only CPU, and if it is a processing element, the memory can be attached to the processor to make a processing element, right. So, these are the architectures of the parallel system. So, again we are not going to study even parallel systems. Now, if I say it is a multiprocessor system, it is okay, because I am using many processors and many memory modules and with a network topology and under the control of a single control unit, it is okay. So, now if you go for multi-computer system, how the architecture will look like? Just replace this processor by a computer, let us take PC1, then go for PC2 and so on PCK. So, okay. So, if I take all the just I will replace the processors by personal computer. So, personal computer means this itself, every PC, if I open this box, what I will get? I will get a CPU or processor, then I will get a memory, and I will get some IO units, some input output units. Now, I can say this is an autonomous computer. It is having its own CPU, own processor, own memory module, and own IO unit. So, this is a single PC or workstation or a laptop or a mobile phone. If you see a mobile phone, you will get the same similar type of things. You will get a processor inside that, you will get some memory amount, and you will get some, that keyboard is your input device, display is your output device, or display is even your input device. Am I clear? So, in this, instead of telling personal computer, you can take any handheld device, any device which is autonomous and independent. I think understood the meaning of autonomous. That means I can run a operating system on each of these device. I can have Android, or I can have Windows, or any operating system like TinyOS. A large number of operating systems are POSIX. We shall see what are the different distributed operating systems are available, right. So, now these operating systems can run on each of the PCs, and it will manage the memories. This is a separate memory. This is I am talking about the separate memory. Even you can exclude this set of memory modules also. So, when you try to connect a number of autonomous computers by a network, we can say it is a computer network. Am I clear? So, initially I told you the multiprocessor systems where the processors are the key components. Now, I replace the processors by a personal computer, and all personal computers are connected by a network topology. It can be a bus, it can be a star, ring. If it is a star, then I can connect the pieces like this. Am I clear? So, now this becomes a computer network. The other name of computer network is multi-computer system. To link to the parallel computing system, we have given the name multi-computer system. Multi means many, and a computers, many computers, and each computer has to be autonomous and independent. Am I clear? So, this is how we can define a multi-computer system and a computer network. Now, I think I will be able to define what is a computer network. So, can I say a computer network is a set of autonomous and independent computers which are connected or which are interconnected by a communication network. So, this is a communication network in general, and these are the computers, right. So, from the multi-computer system, we got the distributed system. Now, we have to define what is distributed system. Can I say that a distributed system is nothing but the network plus operating system plus applications and plus something that will make the distributed system unique. Without network, a distributed system cannot be possible. Without operating system is also not possible. Without having any applications, it is not possible. So, these three components are essential. In addition to that, I should add something to this so that I can get a full-fledged distributed system, and that something is nothing but coherency. Now, we have to understand what is coherency, because this computer network may not satisfy the coherency. Your multiprocessor system can never achieve, but here in a distributed system, coherency is a must. Without coherency, a distributed system cannot be designed, and this is where the confusion comes. So, many people understand that the computer network and distributed systems both are same, right. But this property if you add to, because in a computer network these three things are there, computer network is there, operating system there, applications are there, but this coherency concept is not there in the network, and if you add the coherency to the computer network, I think we will be able to arriving at the distributed system. Am I clear? So, now I will define what is a distributed system next. So, this is the definition of distributed system. according to George Coulouris. There may be some other definitions in other books, but since that is the most the first distributed system books and that definition still holds good, and we are all convinced about this definition. How we can see a distributed system is a collection of independent or autonomous computers, right, that appears to its users as a single coherent system, or it will be more easier to understand if I say that users will feel it is a single personal computer, that is all, and they will not be bothered about the number of processors, number of memory modules and types of networks, protocols, standards. They will not be aware of anything except that as if I am using a single mobile phone or PC, personal computer, and they will be getting the processing speed so fast which a single PC can never supply. His task will be running at a rate by a remote processor which is 1000 lakhs of kilometers away from its own place, and he will get all his information on his mobile phone, on his laptop or on his PC without knowing that his task is executed really somewhere else. But he will feel that it was just executed on my PC and I got the result, right. And that fraction of microsecond will give an illusion as if it is executed on the same PC, but in the reality it will be executed somewhere else, and that somewhere place, that location should be unaware of the user, but it will be aware to the designer. As a designer, it is a challenge how to satisfy this goal, right. So, in general I can say that the latency should be as minimum as possible and bandwidth would be as high as possible. These are the design challenges. You have to maximize the bandwidth and you have to minimize the latency such that user will feel as if it is a single coherent system. In fact, these two are the major design goals of the distributed system. Latency should be very small. How to, if the latency is small, obviously the response time will be less. As soon as you put a key on the mobile phone, you are getting immediately response, but that response is coming after accessing several databases, several files, and whenever the message is transported from one place to another place, it has to follow a number of different types of protocols. A single protocol will not satisfy this, right. So, all these are the challenges that we shall see how to minimize the latency. All the entire goal of this subject is to minimize the latency and maximize the bandwidth. Bandwidth means usually it is expressed in digital, that is bits per second or Mbps or Gbps depending upon the types of communication medium, and mostly we shall see the wireless communication medium as well as the wired, both, because a distributed system, the whenever it is interconnected by a communication network, the communication medium can be wireless or can be wired, right. So, this is the definition of distributed system, and how to understand and how to achieve this single coherent system is the goal of this particular subject. How to achieve, though a large number of components are available in a distributed system, but it will be behaving like a single coherent system is really a challenge for the designers. And the best example of the distributed systems to understand is internet, because as I told you, the network is the backbone. Without network, a distributed system is not possible. So, internet is the best example of the distributed system, but internet only is not sufficient, or internet we can say a computer network, network of networks, and with operating system, applications and some set of protocols, standards, softwares to achieve this coherence property, right. Or I can say the true distributed system example is WWW. WWW, World Wide Web, is a distributed system, but internet is not a distributed system, but internet is required for defining www. I think you understood the difference between internet and www. We often confuse why internet is not a distributed system. It is just a network of networks, right. So, if www is a distributed system, so definitely cloud is a distributed system, right, and MANET is a distributed system, mobile ad hoc network. VANET is a distributed system. Then LAN is a distributed system, but small distributed system. MAN is a medium distributed system. WAN is a large distributed system, or WSN is a distributed system. IoT network is a distributed system. Internet of things, let us take lot of things, physical things, logical things and computing things, all things we mix together, that is also a distributed system. Or Internet of everything network. Without network there is no distributed system. If you tell one IoT device, it is just a device, that is all. But whenever it is networked using a communication network and a topology and a particular standard and protocol, we call it is a distributed system. Then finally, the latest distributed system is fog computers and edge computers. Now, just these are the broad examples of distributed system. If I divide this, suppose LAN, I can say wired LAN or I can say wireless LAN, and if it is a wireless LAN, further I can go for classification, right. So, in overall all these distributed systems examples whatever I have given, the main challenge is that how to achieve the transparency. Transparency means user will feel that a large system which will be reduced to a single system. A very complex large system will be reduced to a small and a simple system. That is the goal of distributed system. Then what you have to do? You have to minimize the latency, maximize the bandwidth, and what are the existing networking protocols, where they can be changed, and how to successfully accomplish the inter-process communication with a constraint that a large number of protocols and a large number of heterogeneous devices are available in the distributed system, because heterogeneity is very important. Then another important thing is this consensus protocols are very much also essential. Then commit protocols, and finally synchronization and fault tolerance. So, these are the four issues which are, you can say, are not more important issues from the computer network point of view, but from distributed system point of view, these four concepts are very, very important, and for this we need the various protocols and standards which are available in the society and how they are used, right. So, then we will start from the introduction, properties, characteristics, then design goals, and so moreover if you see, this subject is somewhat theoretical and conceptual. So, it is very theoretical. So, the concepts are very important. Instead of hardly you will find very less numerical problems, and as usual we shall see the same distribution, 30 marks for mid semester and 50 marks for end semester and 20 marks for TA, and same principle that if you want to develop a distributed system project, then you do not have to appear the class test, you do not have to submit the assignment, but if you want to develop a project, you have to tell in advance, or at least after 3 or 4 classes are over, you will be at least knowing what are the different contents we are going to follow in distributed system, and based upon that you can think of developing a small scale project.